been together and what God has done with all of that in the two of us, really. And so we left off on the last one with her first steps, and you're out of the frame.
So sorry. I'm just looking at the guts of birds, not birds, bugs on the windshield. So
Yeah, there's a lot.
it's disgusting.
It is.
Okay, go. I'm
The gas
here.
station would probably.
I'm
There
in the
she
frame.
is. She's in the frame. Oh, we're gonna stay off of that. Okay, so anyway, so yeah, they had their very first steps. What did you think about that? Your very first steps.
I just remember I felt like I broke through a glass ceiling.
What do you mean?
I love it when she asks, "What do you mean?" Tell me more about that. What do I mean? Mainly when the content, the actual seminar was pretty mind-blowing. I couldn't believe it.
Okay.
Just, I have some thoughts about some things, about, working. If you don't work, you don't eat.
Yeah.
And so I like working. And,
Yeah.
And
But you came from the ministry world.
I came from the ministry world where they raise support. So I'm gonna get a mail for this. Dang it.
God.
To each his own.
What is raising support? Because there's people watching that don't at all know what that means.
Asking money from
Asking people for money.
Asking people for money so that you could, do ministry.
Look at her face.
That's horrible. Oh, it's just horrible. I have friends that do that, and like I said, to each his own. For me, I just never felt real comfortable about it, and so even when I was in Kansas City, I worked, and so yeah.
You didn't feel it was other people's responsibility to.
Yeah, it was hard for me to go there and to really go all in, and in that direction, and raising support, and we as musicians, we got a stipend per month, which was cool. But I worked for Standard Style for a good, probably, I think it was like a year and a half or something like that. Maybe it was a year.
You wanted to support yourself.
Yeah, I wanted to support myself, and so.
Yeah. You didn't want to be dependent on donations.
No, and if it's awkward, hey, can you give me money per month so that I could
play music?
That's just for me, it's just hard. That, me personally.
Yeah.
Like I said, to each his own. But I had this thing where I was just like, I don't want to do that. I want to work to take care of myself, to support myself. So I've always been that kind of person. So
yeah, you have.
And I have.
So, your first steps was mind blowing because
it supported that theory, that work, like working, like we shouldn't, as believers, be struggling, to live.
Yeah.
And so it was like a reinforcement of what I had, my paradigm. There were some other things that shifted in my paradigm, getting out of debt.
Yeah. You had over $200,000 worth of debt at the time.
Yeah.
$205,000.
Yeah. So
Which she paid all of that debt off, by the way, in 5 years.
Yeah.
Became completely debt free.
So it was really good. It was really good for me to hear all of that and to hear other things too that I needed to work on, like how to win friends and influence people. So a lot of the
how to apply that even.
How to apply that, for sure. And
how to build your own audience.
A lot of the marketing
music
stuff. Absolutely. Yep. I mean, that's where I started. That's where I started learning marketing and sales copy and product development. I mean, to me, I felt like I was involved in a lot of things. Like I've always been this like like for me, I'm not just a musician. I'm a photographer.
Yeah.
I'm not just a, you know, I
This
don't.
is stunning. Look at this.
I don't just. Yeah, it's really.
This is
cool, Mom.
Texas.
Yeah.
How
Like, isn't it great to
beautiful.
like go out
Yeah.
and explore a little bit?
Yes.
You know?
It kind of looks like Belize, actually,
Yeah.
doesn't it? Reminds me of Belize.
I have not been. I need to really think about
Get back there.
Yeah, take wood and all that. Anyways, so it was good for me to hear that. It was good for me to, yeah. I've always been this like, okay, I'll do some product development. That was cool. And so that's where I learned a lot of what the things that I know now. So
And that you have made money from.
lots of money.
Lots and lots of money.
Yeah.
Learning how to market.
Yeah. Now I live a laptop life,
Yeah.
and that's been fun too. So yeah.
Yeah, you massively increased your skill from
Yeah.
First Steps and Dynasty and working inside the company.
Yep.
A lot of training with Hans.
Yep.
Tons.
Tons.
Who is her spiritual dad. So, yeah, so she had her very first steps, and we just started doing life together. We
Yep,
were at
we
our
did.
house a lot,
Yeah.
and we started to write songs together,
Yep.
which was crazy. I've never written songs. I'm a writer, but I don't write songs per se. I've written books, and lots of content and lots of training content, just basically logging what it is that we did to go from homeless to millions, and what Hans and I have done to build multi-million-dollar companies for a lot of years. I mean, I've been in business for 3 decades. Isn't that crazy? 31 years. This is my 31st year of being in business.
Wow.
Yeah. That's a long time. Really long time.
Yeah.
On top of having children and grandchildren and wonderful, amazing spiritual daughters. Been a huge blessing in our lives, and everybody's life. The entire family has benefited
Yeah.
from this relationship. But our relationship early on was
No bueno.
it was challenging.
Yeah.
And here's what happened. So about a year in, well, first of all, it was challenging because she came with some serious wounds. Come to find out, her mom had died just 3 years before. She had felt taken advantage of where she was before, felt abused, used. There was no connection, there's no relationship. And so she walked into our relationship with those assumptions that this was going to be just like the last experience. And that's kind of what we do. I mean, it's kind of a subconscious thing that so there was some trust issues. Why don't you go ahead and talk about that? I can talk about it from my perspective if you want.
But go ahead. Talk about it from your perspective.
Well, I'll say about 6 months in, I remember we were in, I think I might have been packing for First Steps or something like that, and you just came at me with this just wild, like out of left field statement. And
Just might say something that I don't remember. Go ahead.
you came out with this out, kind of left field thing, and I looked at you and I said, I love you, and I know that's hard for you to believe. And I am not the people from your past who took advantage of you, and who profited from your gifting. Remember, I don't take a dime from what you make from your music. We've provided a place for you to get your name out there. We've provided a place for you to expose your music so that you can provide for yourself with that, and for your gifting to be spread around the world. So we are not the people. In fact, we were allowing her to even use our merchant account, meaning she was selling her music at First Steps, and we weren't even charging her for the merchant fees. It was like, here's your money. This was the deal, because that was our heart. Our heart was to help her, build her brand. Our heart was to, and because we believe in her brand, and her brand is so powerful, and her message through her music was completely in line with First Steps, is completely in line with First Steps Success and Creating a Dynasty, completely in line with the Bible, which is the most important thing. And so anyway, so I don't know if you remember that, but I put my hands on your shoulders and I said, I will not ever take advantage of you. I love you. And it's through time, you're going to learn that. I said, so you can take that attitude and those words and you're going to leave my room right now and you're going to go deal with your stuff. Do you remember that?
I don't remember that.
That's wild. Yeah, that's wild that you don't remember that. Because you were just like, and you were...
This I do know.
What?
It sucks to be on the receiving end of that.
Receiving end of what? Of being judged?
When you're in a relationship,
Yeah.
whatever kind it is, ours,
Yeah.
and we each have baggage,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Some of us have reconciled a lot of that baggage, and others have not.
Yeah. They're on
Some
their
of
journey.
us don't even realize.
Come into the frame, honey.
Some of us don't even realize
We have it.
that we have it.
Yeah.
And we treat the other person the way that either we were treated or whatever the
Yeah.
situation
Or we
was.
think we're going to be treated.
We think we're going to be treated,
Yeah.
or we push them away, or whatever the thing is, whatever your vice is.
And in the case with you and I, we were becoming very, very close in this mother-daughter kind of relationship that was really forming like right away. In fact, you started calling me mom
Yeah,
shortly in.
that was weird.
It was weird. And I'm like, okay, whatever. You did. And I don't know if it was, she hung out a lot with us. And so it was the kids, there's mom. And so that she would refer to them that way, mom said, or mom says it's time for dinner or whatever. And then she would just start addressing me, mom. And so my perception would be that started to really, your heart started to get open, and that was scary. You were vulnerable,
Yeah.
and you were starting to open up to another human being in an intimate way, with your feelings, your emotions, your pain, your hurts, and that vulnerability was very scary for you. And so there would kind of be after we would have some amazing conversations and walking you through inner healing, to then it'd be like the next day and it'd be like you know what I mean? So it would stir things up, and you'd get scared that I would hurt you, or I would leave you, I would cast you out, I would try to take advantage of you. And so when you would have those moments through your journey, there would be a retaliation, let's say, out of left field. Like nothing happened. There wasn't a argument. Like we didn't have any of those in those times, especially. You know what I mean? There wasn't anything that happened, but it would be like after some really vulnerable conversating and some confessions, of how you were feeling, then you would be like close back up. You know what I mean? You would put that jacket back on and be like, no, I can't go here. It's too scary for me. And so then that's when you would, lash out with your, with your pain. And I knew that it was, and I also knew who I was. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't get offended by, this is so beautiful. I wouldn't get offended by your words, knowing they weren't towards me really. Even though they were towards me, I knew they were from your past, and they were really towards the people that hurt you and harmed you in the past. Or at least that you felt it. This is stunning. Wow, gorgeous. If you're looking in the rearview mirror back there, you can see some of a canyon. You can't see what we can see. It's absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
Wow, how pretty.
Maybe we can drive
Gosh,
on
look at this.
reverse. Just kidding.
We can drive on reverse. This is a freaking Raptor. It's my husband's Raptor. We can have all kinds of fun. Anyway, so I wouldn't take offense to it, because I knew it wasn't, even though her words were to me, I knew they really weren't towards me. She wasn't talking about me. She's talking out of her pain. And that's why I could just say, and this is where it was important. Like, I'm not going to let her sin against me in this way, so listen, others have hurt you in this way. I have not. Let's look at our track record. I know this is not to me. So you turn around and you go deal with your stuff, And then when you're past it, then let's go ahead and have a conversation. And it was in honor and it was in love that I communicated that to her. And you're right, it does suck. And and it is something that I've said to God, like, why do I get these people who've been rejected and hurt? And I remember crying out to God, like, I don't know that I want to sign up for this. So anyway, let's get to this part because, let's do two things. One, The Voice, and two, Stephen Baldwin, which the Stephen Baldwin thing happened before The Voice. So now it's June, right? So you moved in December of 05, so now it's June 06. She's done about 5 first steps at this point. Actually, we just did our 6th one. And she had a festival to go to, and Issa never smiled. She never smiled. This beautiful face that people never got to see because she never smiled. She just wore her pain all over her face all the time. And that was the first thing I worked with you on, was smiling. And we teach that at First Steps. There's great power in a smile. And it actually changes your nonverbal communication. It actually changes how you feel when you just simply smile. And it took 2 years, actually. I worked with you for 2 years on just smile. Let's just work on that. Let's just smile. And she was so guarded because she'd been hurt so badly and she was in so much pain. You know, why she didn't want to be signed. She didn't want to be signed by a label, and there was a label that wanted to sign her. And she's like, nope, I don't want to do that. I want to be independent. I want to be an independent artist. During a time where there were not independent artists. Like, that was like a new thing. You know what I mean?
There were some.
But not like today. Today, it's, there's independent filmmakers, there's independent everything. I mean, we're talking 14 years ago, there was not an indie artist movement like now there's thousands of them. But back then, you were kind of breaking ground in something that was unproven. And my heart was to help you build your music brand and to see you succeed. And to see you succeed well, and you have, like, phenomenally well. But the first thing we worked on was smiling. Just smile. Let's just start with a smile, because she had just so much gloom and darkness and death over her, and really battled with deep depression, and deep mourning that just would not stop. Like, just mourning after mourning after mourning, and mourning her mother's death that just wouldn't stop. It, like, controlled her. And so, anyway, so smile, that was the first thing that we worked on, and she headed to a festival. It was at Ichthus. Is that where you met him? Yeah, she went to Ichthus, which was in Kentucky.
Yes.
Yeah, in Kentucky. And she had a set there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so she called me in between sets, and I said, where are you? Because I gave her an assignment when she headed to Ichthus. And the assignment was, this is a great topic, you can use this to build your business. So in helping Issa develop her brand and develop her audience, to create her audience, to get her music out there as an independent, because she didn't want to be signed, she didn't want to be controlled by anybody. And so, let me help you build, let me teach you. Again, I saw that she had an entrepreneurial spirit, and I wanted to help to develop that entrepreneurial spirit that was in her. She's made hundreds of thousands of dollars, by the way, from these skill sets. So anyway, so the assignment that I gave her when she's going to be at Ichthus was that you need to go meet people. I want you to make 10 new contacts a day. I need you to smile wherever you go. But I need you to make new contacts. We need to start building your database for people to be introduced to your music. And you're just going to build relationships. You're going to do what you've learned at First Steps. Use the communication skills that you've learned at First Steps. Gems, understanding different people's personalities, how to get other people to talk about themselves, make a friend with somebody, and then when they see you on that stage, like, I talked to her, you know what I mean? So now they're ever so much more connected to your music when they get to see who you are, and that when they see you're interested in them, that makes them ever more interested in your music. And so anyway, so that was the assignment, is that she needed to collect 10 new contacts a day. She needed to not be hiding in her room, but that she needed to be the hostess with the most. And smile, meet people, collect names and phone numbers, and start to build an audience. And so she was disobeying Mom's orders.
I was resting.
And she called me.
I was resting.
Get your face back in here.
I was resting.
Anyway, so she calls me from our hotel room, and Sarah Montlong was with you.
No,
Sarah wasn't. Who was the female that was
Joni.
with you? Joni was with you. Joni, as in Joni
Joni
from Standard. Yeah, Wild.
Baldwin.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, anyway, I could hear Joni in the background. Oh, wow, it was Joni. What a trip. That's the first time I ever talked to her then.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Issa calls me. I said, where are you? She goes, I'm in my hotel room. I said, why? I'm resting. No, you're not. The festival is only so long. You are there to work. You're there to build an audience. What's the assignment I gave you? I'm supposed to talk to people. What else, Issa? Smile.
I don't remember this.
Oh my
conversation.
God, of course not. She never missed it. She doesn't remember any of the coaching conversations or the mother conversations.
Blocked them out of my memory.
Oh my God.
Gone. Just gone.
That's awesome. This is gorgeous. Wow. This is so pretty. It's canyon.
See, it's not that boring.
No, it's beautiful. Oh, especially because we're going down memory lane too. We're inviting people in on memory lane with us.
Yes. Some of your, mostly your memory.
Oh my God.
Mine have been blocked out. For good reason, I think.
Oh my God. Oh wow. So I say, so what's the assignment? I'm supposed to meet 10 people a day.
So I go out.
I actually talked to Joni. I said, who's there with you? And she says, Joni. I thought it was Sarah. Let me talk to her. Put yourself on speakerphone. She's like, really right now? His famous last words.
Really right now?
Really right now? So I said, Joni, you believe in her music, right? Yes. This is why you're there with her, right? Yes. You can help her right now. She has an assignment. And I told her what the assignment was. She's like, all right, I'm on it. So they leave the room and go for it.
I decided to go to a trailer. My friend rented a trailer for all the artists that were playing on both main stage, all the stages, and we all had access to the back or whatever, VIP access.
The green room trailer thing. Yeah.
So she rented a trailer, and she hired a masseuse for everyone. So the masseuse was there all day, you know.
So check her out. Look at her plan. She's like, okay, I'm obeying. I'm getting out of the hotel room. Now she's gonna go hide in a trailer and get a massage.
No, there's people there. There's like, you know how many artists I met? Jarvis Clay, like third day. They were all there,
right,
hanging out. Stephen Baldwin was there. So I was like, this is weird, because I went to college in New York, Nyack College, and in town, Stephen Baldwin would always, Stevie B, I call him Stevie B. Stevie B would always be in Starbucks, just hanging out, drinking coffee, talking to people.
Yeah.
So
he's an amazing, humble man.
So he happened to be there, and we connected.
But you never met him.
I never approached him. No,
Yeah.
I never did it. I never approached him. But anyway, so I was like, I know you. He was like, oh, you do? And I was like, yeah. I used to go to Nyack College. He was like, no way. He was like, yeah, I used to see you every day, almost every day at Starbucks. Because I would go pretty much almost every day. And he was like, how come we never met? And I was just like, well, because I never approached you. You were always around people, and, you know, he was a celebrity, and I was just like, you know, trying to give him his space.
Been in over 100 movies.
Yeah, I just wanted to give him his space and respect that.
It was really
it was a town of celebrities, like so many directors, producers, actors. They would film there, so there was like a culture there that, you know, you just kind of treat them as people, you know, honor them as people, and that's actually where I first learned that, because I've run into a lot of celebrities and people in the different areas of the arts. So anyway, so I met him and got to talking, and
She started to form him.
And
If you don't know what that is, get a hold of Magnetic Influence or get your butt to First Step Success. But it's a communication technique that just opens the floor for great relationship building immediately.
Yeah.
Rejection-proof relationship building
Yeah.
immediately.
So we talked, and he was like, hey, so I told him about Danny and what we do, and he was like, hey, you should come down to San Diego, meet me in San Diego, for my premiere of
Next movie.
yeah, a movie that he just did and whatever. And he was like, and bring that Danny Johnson lady too.
And all her kids.
Yeah. And so I came back and did that.
She called me right away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah, it was. Like, it was the next weekend.
Yeah, it was pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the flights went down to San Diego, and
It was rad.
it was. And Steven and I really connected on that trip, and we've been really, really good friends. That's 13 years. Yeah. In fact, he was just at my birthday party, which was wild. Him and his wife, Kenya. They're amazing people.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, that kind of made that connection for her and a bunch of other connections. And she's been using the same, techniques to grow her brand when she wants to. And I want to speak to that too, because not every brand has to be a big brand,
No. Gosh, no.
right? And that there's power in that,
Okay.
knowing what you want to do with your brand.
Yeah.
Issa, no question in my mind, could be signed all those years ago and even today, doesn't want to. So just because she's a musician doesn't mean that, I have to go big. And that was one of our conversations. It doesn't mean that you have to go be who all those people are and have that. The reason why is she didn't want their life. Their lives are not their own. Their lives are owned by somebody else, literally by a contract.
And literally, like I did not want to go back to that place where I first met you. That just caged
Dead.
in, a dead, caged in bird. Just
Owned.
completely
Owned. So it's understanding who you are and what you want and what you don't
And
want.
what price you want to pay?
And seriously, what price you want to pay. And that's a whole nother thing, even
That's
with
a
my
whole-
career,
yeah.
right? When I look at the people who, what it takes to fill stadiums, let's say, and the people that do that every single week or once a month or whatever, and you look at their travel schedule and you look at everything they're doing. They're on television every single day. They're on the radio every single day. They are in a different city every single week. And I look at that life and go, no thank. That's what it takes to do that? No thank you. I'm not interested in having my life be owned by all those have-tos of being on TV 2 to 3 hours a day and on the radio 2 to 3 hours a day and in a new city every few days and every weekend in a different place. I love my family. I rather live life and enjoy life than be owned by the career. And so and I made those choices early on when I first started speaking and teaching and training, and also in ministry stuff. Like, when I first met Benny Hinn, he told me he was on the road 50 weeks a year. I was like, well, no wonder the marriage is a mess. No wonder there's a mess with the family. Like, no wonder. Like, this makes perfect sense. No thanks. Like, no thanks. So when you meet the people behind the scenes and you hear what their life is, and especially with how much television I've done, like, no, that's the last life that I want. I want to be a mom. I want to have relationships. I want to do this stuff. I want to live. I want to have relationship with my children, my grandchildren, my spiritual children. I want to have a life. And so you make those choices to go as big as you want to based on the full picture of your life. And that's where she had great wisdom when we first met 14 years ago of, no thanks. I want to be free. I want to be free. So just because you have such a powerful gift doesn't mean that you have to do the biggest and beat the biggest musicians in the world to do that. Same with acting. Like, someone wants to be an actress or an actor, like, you don't have to compete at that level of Hollywood where you have no life.
Yeah.
You can compete on the local level, in your local theater, because if that's what you want to do to express yourself and you want to have fun with it, then go for it. You don't have to always, because your gifting has the potential to be, your business has the potential to be a multi-billion-dollar business. You want to compete with Apple and you want to compete with Microsoft, or you want to compete with whatever these huge brands are. Doesn't mean you have to. or Amazon, you don't look at their life. Do you want that life? Do you want to pay the price for that life? Use wisdom. It's your life. It's your success. It's your design. It's not somebody else's. And so that's where I felt like you had you saw it. You saw the other musicians that you worked with, and they're so small scale, to be honest with you. They weren't huge
some
scale.
of them were big. Some of them were big.
Not big like...
Well, they were signed.
Sting.
They were signed to major labels, and they were doing the touring with bigger bands, and doing all of
the
that.
Christian field.
And some in the secular.
And some in the secular.
And I was like, one of them didn't go to their friend's funeral, and I was just like, I don't know that that's worth it. I don't know if that's not cool. Yeah, so didn't want to do that.
Which is pretty awesome. Yeah. So you build it the size that you want it, that you have the capacity to manage it. And
and it's not like, could I do more? Absolutely. Like right now I don't really want to. Right now I just want to travel and shoot, write some music, maybe help somebody else with their music, and do some mentoring in that area. And
so good. It's really powerful.
Yeah.
All right, so about 5 months later, about 5 months later, I think it was around November, Issa just randomly brought over some pictures of when she was a little girl, and pictures of her mom, and pictures of her dad and her brothers, and she just kind of had this, desire to
Show
share.
and tell.
Yeah, she wanted to show and tell at the house after dinner one night. And this is going to mess with your theology, whatever your theology is. And if you don't have a theology, it won't mess with it at all. But we actually do see this in the Bible. And this has happened to me twice. I haven't really talked to anybody about it. There's just a few people that have known. I know you can't believe I'm going to say it. But knowing, somebody can say whatever they want. It happened. It freaking happened. And there's nothing that somebody can say that tell me that it didn't happen. It's kind of scary to talk about. And I'll talk about the Issa experience first, and then I'll talk about the other time that it happened. But so anyway, she just shows up, and she was literally like sitting on the floor with the kids, hanging out with the kids, and it was in our dining room, and she was showing me the pictures, and I was really just touched by her wanting to share that part of her, her past with me. And we'd had lots of conversations about her mom's death, and at this point, and the pain, some very painful things that happened in Issa's past, very, very painful. And we identify with each other very much so because we have a very similar past. Anyway, I was standing at quite a distance away from where she was, and I'm just looking at the pictures, and I see this picture of her mom, who Issa looks quite a bit alike, quite a bit. She resembles her, and her mom was a very powerful worship leader at her church, and had an amazing voice, and wrote songs, and Issa really wanted nothing to do with being a worship leader. Her mom was, I would say, crucified by the church that she went to. So Issa had a lot of distrust for church people. And it's part of what you felt drove your mom to the grave.
Yep.
Was all the judgment.
Yep.
And the church at the time not knowing how to embrace her mom's gifting, and certainly not wanting to make room for it, but more to try to control her
very
mom's.
threatened by it. Very threatened by it.
Go ahead and you talk about that.
Just very threatened by it. Even threatened by me. I didn't even realize I had a gift. I mean, obviously looking back, there was this one time where I was singing.
Just a church, a small church.
Yeah, I was singing, and my pastor at the time, like, kind of looked down at me, and I remember finishing. I remember had my eyes closed because I was so nervous, and it was like I think it was the first time I sang, and
like in front of the church.
Yeah, because I wasn't
with a microphone.
Yeah, like solo.
And was this for a youth group, or was this?
No, it was like in front of the whole church.
So were you with your mom?
My mom was in the audience.
Gotcha.
And so, I was I sang the song. It was How Great Thou Art. I remember that. And I was just singing it, you know, and just had my eyes closed. I was so nervous. And I opened them at one point, and people were crying in the crowd, and I didn't know what to do. So I think at that point I just wanted to end the song pretty quickly. So I did. As I looked up and looked over my shoulder, I felt like this presence behind me, and it happened to be my pastor at the time, and he kind of gave me this look, like, and shook his head, like, basically shut it down, and I just thought I did it all wrong, and I left. I remember being done real quick, and got off stage and ran to the bathroom, and my mom followed me in there and was like, "What's going on? What's wrong? You did awesome!" Like, and I said, I don't think so, Mom. I think I did it wrong. And so it was not a healthy environment at all. And from then on, it just got unhealthier. And my mom
With the church.
Yeah, my mom was in the middle of stuff, and it was just not good.
What
And,
was unhealthy?
Well, I went to a Janet Jackson concert when I was really young. Me and a group of friends did, and
And the pastor's daughter, right?
no, the pastor's
the pastor.
daughter wasn't a part of the invite or whatever. There was only a few tickets, and so the friend invited her closest friends, and she just happened to not be invited. And we went, we came back, from the concert. It was awesome. And Thursday, the concert was on Tuesday, and Thursday was youth group, and we went to youth group, and our youth leader said, "Hey, the pastor wants to sit down with you guys about this concert that you guys went to," and we were just like, okay. And so he sat down with us and basically said that we were all put under discipline, which meant that I couldn't play. At the time I was playing drums and bass and, you know, part of the worship team. I couldn't do that. I couldn't go to the youth group outing that we had, retreat. I couldn't go to that. I was not allowed to go to that because of me going to this concert. And to make matters worse, this is where the unhealthy part. I mean, that was pretty unhealthy.
Yeah.
But this was really, really bad. He had us all stand up on Sunday morning that same week, and he announced our what we did and why we were put under discipline, and that we weren't supposed to do, you know, the activities that were coming up, and we were put under discipline for several months or whatever.
I am hearing this story for like the 20th time, and I still just get shocked.
And so he had me stand and the other two stand, as he, like, this is Sunday morning, everyone's there, their kids are there, their family's there, like, everyone's there. And I just felt so mortified, you know, like, shamed. I don't know, it was just like, wow, I couldn't believe it. So it was pretty intense. I was pretty angry, and it was hurtful. And I felt bad for my mom because she let me go. So now she felt responsible. And she apologized, asked for forgiveness, and I was just like,
For what?
and in my mind I was thinking, like, this was a concert. Like, this wasn't even anything, like, you guys are acting like I slept with a guy, or like I took drugs, or like, you know, I went to a Janet Jackson concert, and
How old were you?
probably like really young, like 14, 15 maybe.
Wow.
Her dad was a cop, and so he dropped us off and then picked us up. And you know, so it was like we were, it was safe or whatever. Like we didn't feel like we were in danger or anything like that, or irresponsible or anything like that. Like he stuck around, gave, you know. So it was just like, just not. So that part was really unhealthy. That's just one example. That's one of many examples of the abuse, spiritual
spiritual abuse.
spiritual
Yeah,
abuse that
shaming
happened
people.
in the church that I, grew up in.
So
That
your
we
mom
were
was
in.
also mistreated.
Yeah, she was. A lot of it I don't understand, so I don't want to really speak to it.
Sure.
But she definitely was. I mean, and she asked for forgiveness and all of that, and she made things right. But it was still pretty not good.
Sadly, there are leaders that do not know how to embrace the gifting that's on other people.
Yeah.
They just shut it down. They want
Yeah.
to control it and they want to shut it down versus embrace it and create room for that gifting.
Yeah. Yeah,
So-
he definitely did
Did not know
not.
how to
And
do
he was clearly threatened. I mean, I remember
Yeah.
that one time where he brought my mom in and he brought me into the meeting, and I don't know why, but he basically told me that my mom was being used by the devil and stuff. Meanwhile, I mean, which, could have been true. The way that he handled it was pretty not right or whatever. And maybe she was being used by the devil. Like, I don't know.
Why did he say that?
Again, there are some things that
You don't know.
I don't really.
Do you think your mom was being used by the devil
No.
while she's leading worship at the church?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. If anything, I felt like my mom was like this, like she loved God, she served, she gave of herself, she respected him, she never talked back to him, she never really defended herself. There's some things that she did that I was kind of like, can you like lash out, maybe?
Jeez.
I don't know, like say something, or I don't know. So there were some things that just really
She was
tweaked me.
totally devoted to the church and a worship leader.
Yeah, she loved God.
And he is accusing her of being...
She read the Bible every day. Like I still have her Bible, and she has, even when she couldn't, after her stroke, she couldn't really write. She was still writing in her Bible. You can tell, you can see some of the, the struggle that she was having, obviously with writing, with having no feeling in her right side. So yeah, it was so bad. It was so bad.
So sad.
Yeah. So
fast forward to now, it's 2006. It's around November 2006. It's been about a year that Issa and I have been journeying together. Issa's on the floor with the kids, and I'm looking at these pictures at the whole other end of the room. It wasn't a huge room, but the other end of the room. And like I said, this is going to mess with your theology a little bit, but it is in the Bible. I certainly didn't ask for this. That's for sure.
I'm sorry.
I'm kind of looking at the picture, and I hear a voice. I hear an audible voice of somebody that's not in the house, and it was her mom. And the voice said, "Please take care of my baby." And right away, I just went, oh, no. This is the second time that happened to me. And the first time something not so great happened with it. But I heard it again, please. Almost like this cry of a mom who is really concerned for her daughter. And again, I don't know all the depth yet. I would come to learn later the more depth of the pain and the suffering that was going on inside of Issa. Please take care of my baby. You said it twice. But this voice was a kind of a, literally like a physical presence, literally an audible voice in my ear, as though she was right there with me, looking into my eyes, holding on to me, saying, please, please take care of my baby. And I
just sat there wanting to say no. And I'll tell you why in a minute. And she says it again. And I just sat there for a minute. My eyes swelled up with tears. I looked at Isa on the floor with a few of the other kids, mostly the boys. I said, okay, yes, I will. I will. And that was that. I knew right then that this was going to be a lifelong commitment. And I knew, because I knew that Isa had been wounded, and I already know the challenges that, that brings, the spirit of rejection that she had, the abandonment that she had, the anger that she had. And, it's kind of like one of those things that if it's not your child and it's a friend, you can go, I'm kind of done with this. I think you need to move on. And you know what I mean? You kind of distance yourself when there's, that kind of challenge in it. Like you have that option, but if it's your kid, you don't have that option. You just don't have that option. You're going to love this child to the ends of the earth and back. You're not going to walk away from it, but you're going to press into it. And I had experienced this with my oldest daughter, Christina, who carried similar wounds, and that was enough. Like, that was enough to deal with. So much pain, so much lashing out with the tongue. And so I knew what I was going to sign myself up for, but I knew that this was going to be for the rest of our lives. And the kids had loved her so much. There was just already such a kinship, a bond with Isa and me, and Isa with Hans, and Isa with the kids. And so it wasn't just, a friend. It wasn't even a cousin. Do you know what I mean? It was very intimate and there was a lot of depth to the, even for Hans, like we'd go on vacation and he would invite her to come. Do you know what I mean? Like, she was just a part of the family. She was a part of all the holidays. It was just never a question. She was just one of us. It's just how it was, just even that very first year. And it obviously it got even deeper than that. In fact, when we went to Bora Bora, you came with us.
Yeah.
And you didn't travel with us on that one. You showed up later because we were there for the whole summer, and like you and I were texting every day. And it was a mother-daughter thing. And so when I felt her mother say that to me, again, her mother had been passed for 3 years at this point. No, that was 4 years. February 02.
Yeah.
Right. So this is now November 06.
Yeah.
And so it was a very physical, real thing. And so the reason why initially the no was because that was the second time I heard that. And the first time was after my sister died. My sister Marty, she got in a head-on collision doing a drug run for my parents when she was 21 years old, and she left behind a 3.5-year-old daughter. And a very abusive ex-husband. And sorry about that noise. And so I heard my sister I think it was about a year after Marty died. And I was just driving, and I heard it loud. Hans and I actually coming back from a date night, and the top was down in my little red convertible, and I just broke. Like, so from Hans's perspective, we're coming in our gate, and I just start bawling. And he's like, what's up? We just had a great date night, and heading back to our house, and I just started bawling, and he's like, what's up? And I couldn't get it out because I heard her audible voice. I know the voice of my sister saying, please take care of my baby. Please take care of my baby. And I'm not knowing at the time that Becky's father is abusing her. I don't know that. I didn't know anything about him that way. Marty really never, my sister never really talked that much about it. And he had Becky full time, and I had no idea the level of abuse that was happening. So anyway, when I heard that voice, so I start, trying to reach out, and I start trying to get involved in whichever way that we could. And, obviously he has custody of her, so then it took years before she was removed, and we didn't know, right? So you know how that goes. Like, things happen. You know, people keep that stuff quiet. So obviously Kenny's not going to call me to say, hey, I lost custody of my daughter because I'm abusing her. I didn't do that. You know, so we would go up every year, twice a year actually, and would, you know, ask if we could have her, you know, while we were in Washington and Oregon. And so she'd spend 2 weeks with us at Hans's grandparents' house, and she would go camping with us during the summer. And whenever he would deliver her to us, she was filthy, hair all matted up, dirty face, dirty hands. We'd go and visit, you know, go and pick her up, and their house was disgusting, so disgusting, just filled with just filth everywhere. And right in front of her, he would tell us, hey, she's peeing in the closet, you know, she poops in her closet. Like, he would humiliate her in front of her cousins. She'd be like 10 years old at this point. And the first thing I would do when I get her is put her in the shower. So it just really break my heart because my hands were tied. And then when he finally left custody of her, these other couples stepped in without us even knowing it, and it was his wife's foster parents. She grew up in a foster home. His new wife grew up in a foster home, and so these were foster parents that took her and told the state that she had no family and no one wanted her, which was such a lie. So anyway, they got custody of her, even though we fought the state, and it was too late. They said she's already integrated in the home that she's in, but we're first kin, like, we're the family, like, we'd be happy to, and so we didn't get that chance. So that really broke my heart. It was like super heartbreaking to not honor that request of my sister. Again, my sister died, so she never had anything in writing or anything like that. She was 21. She was in a coma for 30 days and then passed. So she had no wishes. My parents were drug addicts, so they didn't try to. And again, you know, she was with her dad. She's with her biological father, and we don't know that the abuse is happening. So anyway. So, you know, fast forward many years later, and I hear this other voice, Issa's mom, say, please take care of my baby. And I didn't want to fail. I didn't want to fail. I don't want to screw that up. Because if I say yes to something, I'm committed to it. And so anyway, that might totally mess with your theology. I didn't ask to listen to dead people ask me to do something, take care of their baby.
Yeah.
But it's as real as I'm sitting here talking right now. It was that real. It was formulated in my head. So I can tell you this, though. I had a recent revelation. My niece is 28. And you were how old? I think you were
26.
I realized recently, like, wait a second, just because I missed out on, you know, those, you know, when Marty asked, Becky would have been almost 5.
Yeah.
So, okay, so I didn't have the 13 years of that childhood that we could have raised her.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that I can't be involved in her life. So, you know what I mean, more than I am now. And so I've been forming that with her for several weeks now, and it just hit me. I'm like, wait a second, just because she's an adult and she's on her own now, she still has all these horrible wounds.
Yeah.
She now has 3 kids, and she's married, and actually remarried. I think she's on her 3rd marriage at this point. But the woman who took her, that told the state that they knew. I mean, they knew we wanted her, and they secretly did what they did. Whatever the reason was, I don't know. But the woman that did that the man had a stroke when Becky was 18, and the woman just died. She committed suicide. And so that's now out of Becky's life. And so this is the time where I can still honor my sister's request. I have another niece. My other sister who's alive is a total drug addict and looks like 20 years older than me, and she's my younger sister. And she has a daughter also. And so anyway, started to reach out better and more with them because there's no reason why I shouldn't be. So anyway, that's Isa and my story. So from the years moving from there, it really has been a mother and daughter, mother
relationship.
It really has.
And you probably know this. I knew that she didn't tell me this right away.
No.
But when she finally did, I knew it was real because my mom used the same phrase to another lady that used to be my youth leader before she died. Sorry. So I knew, just in case you didn't hear that, I knew that the phrasing that she heard from my mom,
Take care of my baby.
yeah, that phrase, I knew it was legit because my mom had asked the same thing of another woman before she passed, before she even got sick, actually. Like she just said, I don't know if she knew that she was about to die or
Have a stroke.
something was happening, like maybe she had a little bit of a clue, I don't know, but she told this lady the same exact phrase, same one. Please take care of my baby. So I knew that when she said that to me,
How
I knew that
many years
thing.
later did I tell you that?
I don't know. I just know it was not right away.
No, not at all. I think it was years later.
Yeah.
It was years later. I didn't tell anybody. Actually, I told Hans that night. I told Hans, because again, Hans was with me the night that my sister said that to me.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
but that's it.
Yeah. So.
So what a sweet God,
Yeah.
you know.
Yep. And he's used our relationship to heal stuff for me,
And vice versa.
yeah.
And for me too. I had a tubal pregnancy right after I had Christina. And I don't know if you know the story, but the biggest regret of my life is I allowed myself to be influenced as a 17-year-old kid. Through a lot of circumstances that happened, I made the dumbest decision of my life, and that was to allow myself to be coerced, whatever, to give my baby up for adoption. Worst mistake of my life, and I hurt my child for doing that. And when Isa came into our lives, Christina had already been a part of our lives for, 2001 is when Christina and I were reunited. So I met you in 2005, so 4 years. We were 4 years in with the healing with Christina and I, and Christina had lots of outbursts of, lots of accusations, a lot of judgment. She would just speak evil behind my back, try to turn people against me. She was, and again, that was a hard one for sure because it's my baby, but I knew I deserved it. That's the reality. Is I did this. This is my mess that I created, and I hurt my child. Gave her up so that she wouldn't be hurt. That's the part that's freaking jacked. Is that the people who kept coercing me to do this would say, "What if your father touches this baby like he touches you?" So I was afraid that would happen, that she'd be hurt, and that there were other people that would do a far better job than I ever could. It was the worst decision of my life. And here, turned out she was hurt because of that. She would not have been hurt if I kept her. And if I could turn back the hands of time, that's exactly what I would have done, was kept her. No doubt. I wanted this child, and I allowed other people who weren't ready for the child, and the family that wasn't ready, the grandparents that weren't ready, to convince me to do something that I didn't want to do, clearly didn't want to do. And that's a different video that we've already done. You can watch it another time. Anyway, so Isa walked in, during that season, and while Christina was going through all her crap, and going in and out of being hateful and loving, Isa was there being loving
And even when Erica had her double aneurysm, and then a month later I was paralyzed, Issa was there, caring for both of us. And Erica and Issa have a crazy strong sister relationship. And so when Christina was walking through her stuff, it was not nice to Erica. In fact, she was very jealous of Erica, and she hurt Erica a lot. Issa, God used Issa as the big sister when there was that void in Erica, who longed to know her big sister. And when Erica was 12, she got to meet her big sister. No, she wasn't 12, she was 7 or 8. I'm trying to remember how, because Christina was 14, so 9. Erica was 9 when she met her big sister. And so God really used Issa, kind of as a buffer there. And there was a very strong bond that happened with the two of them while Christina was walking through her healing and working through her stuff. And that was a really precious thing. A really, really precious thing. And then when I was paralyzed, Issa took care of me. Whereas Christina was in her own pain and was very spiteful and not very nice during that season. Didn't come to visit Erica while Erica's dying in the hospital. Didn't really, it's like, it was kind of like, just, again, out of her own pain, where she was at in the stage of, and by the way, and this is all open information, she's done many videos, wrote books about her adoption and the pain that it caused, and out of her pain, how she hurt other people. So this isn't, I'm not saying anything that isn't public and that she hasn't confessed herself. That she's made right the best that she can with everybody involved. But anyway, so I lost a child in between Christina and Erica. In fact, it was the reason why I was told I'd never have children again, is because they had to take out some of my female organs. So they said I'd never have children again. And so I have 6 children, right? So I've been pregnant 6 times, and one baby died 3 months along in my womb, actually in my tube, wasn't even in the womb. The baby grew in my tube and exploded the tube. And so I felt like God brought me that baby. And it's been very healing, and that she was by our side through major sicknesses, like Erica almost died. And this girl would walk into Stanford University and say, "I'm here to see my sister." No one questioned anything. And then she'd be in an ICU with Erica, and like no one questioned anything. It didn't matter that Issa had darker skin than the family. Like there was never a question. Even when I was in the hospital, like no one ever questioned it. Like she just carried that authority of, that's my mom. And same with Ichthus, our first time in Ichthus, same thing. She'd say, "Oh, my mom's on her way," and then I show up. I had blonde hair at the time. People
were just like, what?
But they could see the connection between us and be like, yeah, it is what it is. I mean, yeah, I could have had a black husband. Highly likely, actually. Very highly likely. But we don't have enough years apart from us for it to be a biological thing by any stretch. But there definitely is that thing. So, and no one can ever take that from us, for sure. So, yeah, lots of healing.
Lots of healing.
Lots of healing. So,
For sure.
and sure more in the future as well.
Yeah.
So that's the story. For all the thousands and thousands of people who have asked the question.
Like, who is this chick? Wait, you're Danny's daughter?
Yep.
Yeah.
And even Christina claims her as her sister.
Yeah.
Like all 5 of the biological kids clearly claim this kid as their sister. In fact, one of my favorite stories is we first moved to Texas, and we'll close with this. We first moved to Texas, and the kids are starting in a brand new school, and like we're in it's a private Christian school, and it's like, we don't know it, but it's like all the rich kids go to this school.
And it's predominantly white kids. You know, there's a couple Asians. There might have been one.
Maybe one. Two.
One African American kid there, maybe
Maybe one or
two.
two.
Yeah, maybe two. Tiny little school. And one of my favorites is that, you know, she would always come for the first day of school when they went into a school. Like,
Yeah.
they were mostly homeschooled, but first day of school, Issa, you know, gets up at the crack of dawn and she wants to be there when the kids first, you know, have their first day of school there. So she comes along and you go ahead and tell it.
No, I don't remember all of it. I'm
It's
gonna
so
ruin it.
cute. Both Roman and Cabe both do this that day. So it's the kids' first day of school too. It's their first day of school, and it's Cabe's first day of high school. Yeah, it's his first. I think it's his freshman year. It is his freshman year, and they're in class, and Cabe goes to say goodbye to Issa. So he leaves his seat, he goes and he gives her a big hug, and then he comes back and they go, well, who's that? That's my sister. Like, without a flinch, like, that's my sister. So then we're leaving and we're walking past Roman's class, and Roman comes out to hug her and the rest of us, and he gets the same question. It's my sister. Like, without a flinch.
It's great. People's reaction is just great.
Yeah. So we've traveled the world together, family vacations together,
Going to the national park together.
going to the national park together. That's where we're heading right now for her birthday. And I just thought it would be fun to answer the question. And of course, it was a good time of reminiscing of our journey together. It's now 14 years that we've had together. Many, many, many birthdays, many celebrations. Watching her build her careers and expand that initial word that I saw for you, that the vat and the container being made bigger and it being ever flowing of that creativity and gifting. Little did I ever think that day that you would be my daughter, ever in a million years.
Ever.
Like never.
Like never, ever.
And that part of that capacity would include us and our family and all of that. So pretty special.
Yeah.
So, anyway, hope you've enjoyed the video and you got your question answered if you had it. And if you didn't have a question, well, you got an answer anyway. So, and if you missed the first video, go back. We've done 3 videos. One about Dirt Princess Life, dirtprincesslife.com, which is one of her businesses, and she helps to lead people out of like their everyday lives and into an experience for a week of getting in the dirt and encountering God in that way, and encountering even yourself, like time of rest for your soul. And it's very powerful, and her and I are doing that. I'm wearing my Dirt Princess t-shirt right now and my Dirt Princess hat.
Looks really
I'm
good
just,
on you.
of course, you made it. Missing my Dirt Princess mug right now. So that was the first video, and talk about the importance of that for your life. And the second video was how we met. We did a part 1 that was abruptly ended by a pee break. No, it was a perfect time to end it. Was right there.
When you gotta go, you gotta go.
Yes, and so this is a perfect part 3 that
Yes.
wraps it up. So that's it for us. God bless you. We hope you enjoyed today, and grab some good nuggets out of it too.